On Friedrich Nietzsche. In this article, we shall discuss German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, who is widely regarded as one of the greatest and most influential figures in contemporary philosophy. Friedrich Nietzsche was a German philosopher, cultural critic, and writer, widely regarded as one of the most influential thinkers of the 19th century. He is best known for his provocative ideas on existentialism, nihilism, the will to power, and the concept of the Ubermensch or Overman. Nietzsche's early academic background was in classical philology, and he held a position as a professor at the University of Basel in Switzerland. However, due to health issues, he retired from his academic career and spent the rest of his life writing and traveling. His philosophical works are characterized by a deep critique of traditional values, morality, and religion. Nietzsche famously declared that God is dead, meaning that the idea of a universal, transcendent moral authority had lost its power and relevance in the modern world. Nietzsche believed that the prevailing moral and cultural values of his time, which he saw as rooted in Christian ethics, stifled individuality and hindered human potential. He called for the revaluation of all values and the development of new, life-affirming perspectives that would allow individuals to embrace their unique identities and overcome the challenges of existence. One of Nietzsche's central concepts is the will to power, which suggests that all living beings have an inherent drive to assert themselves and strive for dominance in various aspects of life. He argued that this will to power was the fundamental driving force behind human actions and motivations. The idea of the Ubermensch, often translated as the Superman or Overman, is central to Nietzsche's philosophy. The Ubermensch represents an individual who has transcended traditional morality and societal constraints, creating their values and living authentically according to their own self-determined principles. Nietzsche's works include Thus Spoke Zarathustra, Beyond Good and Evil, The Birth of Tragedy, The Gay Science, and Ecce Homo, among others. His writings have had a significant impact on various fields, including philosophy, literature, psychology, and existentialism, and continue to be widely studied and debated to this day. Friedrich Nietzsche was born on October 15, 1844, in Rocken, a small town in the Prussian province of Saxony, present-day Germany. He came from a family of Lutheran pastors. His father, Karl Ludwig Nietzsche, was a Lutheran minister, and his mother, Franziska Oehler, was the daughter of another Lutheran pastor. Tragedy struck Nietzsche's early life when his father died of a brain ailment when Friedrich was just 5 years old. His younger brother, Ludwig Joseph, also passed away 6 months later. These early experiences of loss had a profound impact on Nietzsche's thinking, and themes of suffering, tragedy, and the human condition would later become central elements in his philosophy. After his father's death, Nietzsche's family moved to Naumburg, where he spent much of his childhood. He excelled in his studies and displayed early intellectual promise. At the age of 14, he entered the prestigious boarding school Sculpfurta, where he continued to excel academically and showed a keen interest in classical literature and philology. Nietzsche's passion for classical studies led him to pursue a university education in philology and theology. In 1864, he enrolled at the University of Bonn, where he studied theology and classical philology. He later transferred to the University of Leipzig and then to the University of Basel in Switzerland. During his university years, Nietzsche became interested in the works of famous philosophers, writers, and composers, including Arthur Schopenhauer and Richard Wagner. Schopenhauer's pessimistic outlook and focus on the will as a driving force in human behavior would deeply influence Nietzsche's early thinking. After completing his studies, Nietzsche became a professor of classical philology at the University of Basel at the age of 24. He quickly earned a reputation as a brilliant scholar and an innovative thinker. However, Nietzsche's career as a professor was cut short due to health issues. He suffered from severe migraines and other ailments, which led to his resignation from the university in 1879. From then on, he lived a nomadic life, traveling through Europe, writing prolifically, and engaging in correspondence with various intellectuals of his time. Throughout his life, Nietzsche faced numerous personal and health challenges, but these experiences shaped his philosophical outlook and contributed to the development of his distinctive ideas about human existence, morality, and culture. Friedrich Nietzsche's philosophical influences were diverse and varied, ranging from ancient Greek philosophers to his contemporaries. Arthur Schopenhauer's philosophy had a profound influence on Nietzsche, especially during his early years. Schopenhauer's ideas on the will as the fundamental driving force of human behavior and his pessimistic view of existence resonated with Nietzsche. However, Nietzsche eventually parted ways with Schopenhauer's pessimism and developed his own unique philosophy. Nietzsche was inspired by the ancient Greek philosopher Heraclitus, who emphasized the ever-changing nature of reality, the unity of opposites, and the idea of eternal recurrence. These themes are evident in Nietzsche's works, particularly in his concept of the eternal return. Nietzsche greatly admired the German poet Friedrich Hölderlin, whose works often explored themes of tragedy, beauty, and the human condition. Nietzsche drew inspiration from Hölderlin's poetic language and ideas. Nietzsche engaged with the figure of Socrates and the Socratic method, which emphasized questioning and critical inquiry. Nietzsche was critical of certain aspects of Socratic rationalism and its influence on Western philosophy and culture. Nietzsche's relationship with the composer Richard Wagner was both influential and complex. Wagner's music and his artistic vision initially captivated Nietzsche, and Wagner's concept of the Gesamtkunstwerk, total artwork, inspired Nietzsche's early thoughts on the role of art and culture. However, their friendship eventually soured, and Nietzsche criticized Wagner's nationalistic and anti-Semitic tendencies. Nietzsche's friendships with Paul Riesz, a philosopher, and Lou Andreas Salome, a writer and psychoanalyst, played significant roles in his intellectual and emotional life. Their interactions influenced some of his ideas on psychology, morality, and relationships. Nietzsche engaged with various ancient Greek philosophers, including Plato and Aristotle. He had a critical stance toward Plato's metaphysics and the ideal realm, seeing it as a source of nihilism. However, Nietzsche appreciated the notion of the agon, struggle, in Greek culture and admired certain aspects of the pre-Socratic philosophers. Nietzsche was aware of Charles Darwin's theory of evolution, and some scholars argue that Darwin's ideas about natural selection and the struggle for existence influenced Nietzsche's notion of the will to power and his focus on the importance of life's creative and competitive aspects. These philosophical influences, along with Nietzsche's own critical reflections on contemporary culture, religion, and morality, culminated in the development of his distinctive philosophical outlook and the articulation of his profound and often controversial ideas. The philosophy of Friedrich Nietzsche is rich and complex, encompassing a wide range of themes and ideas. Some key aspects of his philosophy include critique of traditional morality. Nietzsche fiercely criticized traditional moral values, particularly those rooted in Christian ethics. He saw them as promoting a slave mentality that suppresses individuality and hinders human potential. Nietzsche believed that these values were a result of the herd mentality and sought to challenge them in favor of a more life-affirming and individualistic perspective. Will to power. Nietzsche's concept of the will to power is central to his philosophy. He viewed all living beings as driven by a fundamental desire to assert themselves, overcome obstacles, and strive for dominance. This will to power is the driving force behind human actions and motivations. Ubermensch, Overman/Superman. Nietzsche introduced the idea of the Ubermensch, which represents an individual who has transcended traditional morality and societal norms. The Ubermensch creates their values and lives authentically, embracing the challenges of existence with a self-determined and life-affirming outlook. Eternal recurrence. Nietzsche proposed the concept of eternal recurrence, suggesting that the universe and all events within it repeat infinitely. This idea challenges individuals to live their lives in such a way that they would be willing to relive every moment, making them aware of the significance of their actions and choices. Critique of nihilism. Nietzsche was concerned with the rise of nihilism, the belief that life lacks inherent meaning or value. He saw it as a consequence of the decline of traditional religious beliefs and values. Nietzsche sought to offer alternatives to nihilism by encouraging individuals to embrace life's challenges and affirm the value of their existence. Dionysian and Apollonian. In The Birth of Tragedy, Nietzsche introduced the contrast between the Dionysian and Apollonian elements in art and culture. The Dionysian represents primal, chaotic, and emotional forces, while the Apollonian symbolizes order, harmony, and rationality. Nietzsche believed that a balance of these elements was necessary for cultural vitality. Amor fati. Nietzsche's philosophy also includes the concept of amor fati or love of fate. This idea encourages individuals to accept and embrace their own destinies, including the suffering and challenges that life presents. By affirming one's fate, individuals can find a sense of purpose and meaning in life. Perspectivism. Nietzsche rejected the notion of objective truth and embraced perspectivism, the idea that truth is always influenced by the perspectives and biases of individuals and cultures. He saw the pursuit of objective truth as an illusion and instead encouraged the exploration of various perspectives to gain a deeper understanding of reality. These key aspects of Nietzsche's philosophy have had a profound influence on existentialism, postmodern thought, and various other philosophical, literary, and cultural movements. Friedrich Nietzsche was a prolific writer, and his works cover a wide range of topics, including philosophy, culture, literature, and psychology. Some of his most notable writings include Thus Spoke Zarathustra, also known as Thus Spake Zarathustra or Thus Spake Zarathustra, a book for all and none. This philosophical novel is one of Nietzsche's most famous works. It presents the teachings and musings of the fictional character Zarathustra, who delivers a series of speeches on various philosophical concepts, such as the Ubermensch, eternal recurrence, and the will to power. Beyond Good and Evil, also known as Beyond Good and Evil, Prelude to a Philosophy of the Future. This book is a collection of aphorisms and essays that critique traditional morality and challenge conventional notions of good and evil. Nietzsche explores the concept of the will to power and presents his perspectivist views on truth. On the Genealogy of Morality, also known as On the Genealogy of Morals or Genealogy of Morals. In this work, Nietzsche delves into the historical and psychological origins of moral values and provides a critique of the dominant moral systems of his time. The Birth of Tragedy, also known as The Birth of Tragedy out of the Spirit of Music. Nietzsche's first major work examines the origins and nature of Greek tragedy and introduces the concepts of the Apollonian and Dionysian forces in art and culture. Ecce Homo, How One Becomes What One Is, also known as Ecce Homo, How One Becomes Such. This autobiographical work reflects on Nietzsche's life and intellectual development. It includes provocative and self-aggrandizing statements about his own achievements as a philosopher. The Gay Science, also known as The Joyful Wisdom. This book contains a collection of aphorisms and poetry, covering a wide range of topics, including nihilism, the death of God, and the affirmation of life. On the Uses and Disadvantages of History for Life, also known as Untimely Meditations. In this collection of essays, Nietzsche examines the value and limitations of history and explores how historical knowledge can be beneficial or detrimental to life. Twilight of the Idols. This work is a series of short, critical essays where Nietzsche critiques various cultural and philosophical figures, institutions, and ideas. The Antichrist. In this book, Nietzsche criticizes Christianity and presents his own vision of a life-affirming and anti-Christian philosophy. On Truth and Lies in a Non-Moral Sense, also known as On Truth and Lie in an Extra-Moral Sense. In this essay, Nietzsche explores the nature of truth and language, arguing that truth is a human creation based on metaphor and analogy. These writings, along with many others, have had a profound impact on philosophy, literature, and culture, and Nietzsche's ideas continue to be influential and debated by scholars and thinkers around the world. Friedrich Nietzsche's legacy today is profound. Despite the fact that he struggled to gain widespread recognition during his lifetime, his works have had a lasting impact on numerous fields, and his ideas continue to resonate with scholars, artists, and thinkers around the world. Nietzsche is considered one of the most influential philosophers of the modern era. His critiques of traditional morality, his concept of the Ubermensch, and his perspectivism have profoundly shaped the development of existentialism, postmodernism, and other philosophical movements. Many contemporary philosophers draw inspiration from Nietzsche's writings and engage with his ideas in their works. Nietzsche's writings have been a significant source of inspiration for writers, poets, and artists. His provocative and poetic language, as well as his exploration of themes such as suffering, tragedy, and the human condition, have had a lasting influence on literature, music, and visual arts. Nietzsche's insights into the human psyche and his understanding of the will to power have also had an impact on the field of psychology. His ideas have been studied and interpreted by psychologists, particularly those interested in existential psychology and the exploration of human motivation and behavior. Nietzsche's critique of traditional moral values and his proposal of a new, life-affirming ethic continue to be subjects of discussion and debate in the realm of ethics and moral philosophy. Nietzsche's ideas have left a lasting mark on cultural and intellectual history. They have influenced movements like the Nietzschean Enlightenment in the early 20th century and have been integrated into broader discussions about modernity, humanism, and the nature of truth and knowledge. Nietzsche's writings, particularly some of his more provocative statements, have been subject to misinterpretation and have occasionally been used to justify harmful ideologies. As a result, his legacy has also sparked debates about the responsibility of intellectuals and the importance of careful contextualization of philosophical ideas. Nietzsche's works continue to be studied and analyzed in academic circles, and new translations and commentaries are published regularly. Additionally, Nietzsche's ideas have gained popularity among a broader audience, with his aphorisms and quotes often appearing in various media and popular culture. Friedrich Nietzsche's legacy is one of intellectual dynamism, as his writings continue to inspire exploration and engagement with fundamental questions about human existence, values, and culture. His influence can be seen in various fields, making him a central figure in the development of modern thought.